The key thing, the thing that you need to understand in a resort economy is that jobs grow much faster than population. And that's because the ownership of those residences is increasingly affluent. The median income for a free market owner is something like $400,000 a year. All the things that you and I do, change the oil in your car or tune your car or mow your lawn or weed your lawn or stock your groceries, as affluence levels rise, people begin to hire other people to do those things for them. The workforce living in Aspen has declined steadily from the 1985-86 number of 65% to somewhere in the high 20s or low 30s now.
We anticipated the need for affordable housing. We just didn't anticipate the degree to which we would need the affordable housing. I wish we had had some mechanism where we were forced on an annual basis to really monitor and check ourselves as far as trends go and make adjustments on an annual basis.
Employee housing, it's probably our biggest, we call it internal challenge facing us. Our employees that are even long-term year-round, middle management, more committed to this valley, there's no way they could afford to buy the house they're in today. The ones they just bought 3 years ago.
Yeah, I do believe that once you reach a certain point, you can't physically grow your way out of a problem such as lack of affordable housing.
If you don't manage the growth and you don't provide the affordable housing, you're left with a transportation nightmare. So you're a small community, you have to start thinking about the 4-lane and the 6-lane highway and the bus system and the rail and all these sorts of exotic options to pump people in to take care of your growth.
Resident-only zones or resident-occupied zones are fairly new in this country. Someone has to live in the community at least 9 months out of the year and has to work in the community at least 30 hours a week. Someone who truly does live here, truly does call this home. Some resident zones have asset limitations with them, some do not. The amount that your home could sell to someone else can get way out of hand very quickly unless there's some cap limitation or some appreciation limitation.
Once you get to the more mature resorts, there's not much reason to believe that you're going to create a lot of housing stock simply by putting 2 units on the lot instead of 1. And years and years ago, they tried that in Aspen. They did these lot splits, and the theory was I would sell the 1 lot and then I could retain the other. And what happened is they did the lot splits and people just sold both lots. And so you wound up with 2 second homes instead of 1.
We have looked at basically increasing density if the density is affordable. And an owner, say with a larger lot, might be able to do a lot split if in fact that lot were to go to a resident occupied restriction or an addition of an attached unit in the home. We've talked about in our urban growth boundary within Pickens County having zone districts that could opt into this additional density. At this point, the idea of buying down existing free market stock in the city of Aspen or the surrounding area seems overwhelming in terms of the cost of a home when the average cost of a home is over $3 million. Buying that down to an affordable rate seems unlikely, but when you look at the fact that some of our resident occupied housing is selling for $1 million, it might not be that far out of reach.
I think it's worth exploring the idea of creating a system of development rights that have to be purchased in order to have a new subdivision or a new free market non-restricted house. It's worth exploring. It's a pretty complex scheme. It's not something I would advise you to try at home.
we have to do what we have to do to maintain communities.